Stop right now and think about the last time you spread margarine on your toast or poured vegetable oil into your pan because you believed it was the heart-healthy choice. I need you to listen carefully because what I am about to tell you today could be the difference between a strong, healthy heart in your 70s and 80s or a sudden trip to the emergency room that nobody saw coming. I have been treating adults over 60 for more than 30 years now, and there is one food that almost every single one of my patients believed was protecting their heart, when in reality, it was quietly working against them the entire time. This is not some rare, obscure ingredient. This is something sitting in your kitchen right now. Something you were taught to trust. Something the food companies have spent decades convincing you was healthy. And today, I am going to tell you exactly what it is, and exactly what you need to do instead, starting this very week. My patients often tell me they switched away from butter decades ago because their doctor at the time told them to. They tell me they have been faithfully using margarine and processed vegetable oils for 30 or even 40 years, believing they were doing the responsible thing for their heart. And I understand why. Back then, the advice seemed to make sense. Saturated fat was painted as the villain. Vegetable oils were painted as the hero. But after treating thousands of seniors and watching their blood work their arteries and their overall health over decades, I have seen a pattern emerge that deeply concerns me. The very food so many were told to embrace has been linked to the kind of silent inflammation that sets the stage for heart disease, stroke, and cognitive decline. I am talking about highly processed seed oils and the margarine spreads made from them. Canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil when it is heavily processed, and the tubs of margarine and so-called heart-healthy spreads sitting in your refrigerator door right now. Here is what concerns me most, and what many people do not realize. These oils are not extracted the way you might imagine. They are not simply pressed from a seed, like olive oil is pressed from an olive. Many of these industrial oils go through a chemical extraction process using solvents. Then they are deodorized, bleached, and heated to extremely high temperatures to make them shelf-stable and neutral tasting. This process changes the structure of the fat itself. It creates compounds called oxidized lipids. And when you consume these oxidized fats day after day, year after year, your body has to deal with the consequences. Your blood vessels are lined with a delicate layer of cells called the endothelium. This lining is responsible for keeping your arteries flexible and your blood flowing smoothly. When you flood your system with oxidized vegetable oils, that delicate lining becomes inflamed. Over time, that inflammation contributes to the hardening and narrowing of your arteries. This is something I tell my own patients every single week in my office. Now, I want you to think about your own kitchen for a moment. How many things in your pantry contain one of these oils? Salad dressings, crackers, frozen meals, even some breads, even some of those heart-healthy granola bars sitting on your counter. This is what makes this so dangerous. It is not one obvious culprit you can easily avoid. It has quietly worked its way into nearly everything marketed to health-conscious older adults. I have had patients in my practice who ate what they believed was a clean diet. No fried food, no fast food, no red meat most days. And yet their inflammatory markers kept climbing. Their cholesterol particles kept shifting toward the dangerous small dense type. And when we finally sat down and went through every single label in their kitchen, we found the answer hiding in plain sight. Bottle after bottle, tub after tub, of the very oils they believed were protecting them. I want to pause here, because I know this might feel overwhelming. You are not alone in this. I have watched so many wonderful patients feel betrayed when they learned this truth. Some feel frustrated because they followed the guidelines they were given decades ago in good faith. Some feel afraid because they wonder what other damage might already be done. I want you to know that fear is not what I want you to walk away with today. What I want you to walk away with is clarity and a clear path forward. Because here is something important. Your body has a remarkable ability to heal and recalibrate even later in life. The arteries are not concrete. They are living tissue capable of responding to the choices you make starting today. This is something I have witnessed again and again in my own practice. Patients who made these changes in their 60s, 70s, and even their 80s saw measurable improvements in their blood work within months. So let's talk about what is actually happening inside your body when you consume these processed oils regularly. These oils are extremely high in a type of fat called omega-6. Now, I want to be clear. Omega-6 is not evil on its own. Your body needs some omega-6. The problem is balance. For most of human history, people consumed roughly equal amounts of omega-6 and omega-3 fats. Today, because of how common these processed oils have become in packaged foods, restaurant cooking, and home cooking, many older adults are consuming 15 to 20 times more omega-6 than omega-3. This imbalance pushes your body into a constant low-grade inflammatory state. And chronic low-grade inflammation, as I have seen across thousands of patient charts, is connected to nearly every major health concern we worry about after 60. Joint pain, memory decline, heart disease, even the speed at which your skin and tissues age. I have seen this many times in my practice. A patient comes in frustrated because their joints ache more than they expected. They assume it is simply old age. Sometimes it is. But often when we address the inflammatory load in their diet, including removing these processed oils within weeks, they tell me their joints feel noticeably better. Their energy improves. Even their mental clarity sharpens. This connection between inflammatory fats and brain fog is something more research continues to confirm, and it lines up exactly with what I have witnessed clinically for decades. Now, you might be wondering, what does this mean for cooking? Does this mean every fat is bad? Absolutely not. This is actually the encouraging part of our conversation today, and I want you to keep listening, because this next part is what will truly transform your kitchen. The fats your body responds to beautifully are the ones that have existed in human diets for thousands of years, in their natural, unprocessed form. Extra virgin olive oil is one of the most extensively studied fats in the world when it comes to heart and brain health. Real grass-fed butter in moderation. Avocado oil that is genuinely cold-pressed. Coconut oil used thoughtfully. Even the fat found in oily fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel, which delivers those crucial omega-3 fats your body has been missing. Here is something I tell my own patients, and I want you to really hold on to this. The goal is not to fear fat. The goal is to return to the kind of fat your grandparents would recognize. If your great-grandmother would not have recognized the ingredient sitting in your pantry, that is often a useful signal worth paying attention to. Read your labels this week. Look specifically for the words partially hydrogenated. Look for soybean oil. Look for canola oil. Look for the words vegetable oil blend. These phrases are hiding in salad dressings, marinades, crackers, and even some products labeled as natural or healthy at the grocery store. I know change can feel difficult, especially when you have trusted certain products for years. I want to walk you through a simple, realistic path forward, because I do not believe in overwhelming my patients with impossible demands. Start with just one swap this week. Replace your cooking oil with extra virgin olive oil for sautéing at moderate heat, or use avocado oil for higher heat cooking. Replace your margarine spread with real butter in modest amounts, or a high-quality olive oil-based spread without hydrogenated ingredients. When you go out to eat, ask how your food is prepared and request olive oil when possible. These small, consistent choices compound over months and years, exactly the way the harmful choices compounded over decades. I also want to address something many of my patients ask me. They say, "Doctor, I have been eating this way for 30 years. Is it too late for me?" I want to look you in the eye through this screen and tell you with complete honesty, after 30 years in this profession, it is not too late. I have watched patients in their 70s lower their inflammatory markers. I have watched patients in their 80s improve their cholesterol particle size. I have watched memory and energy improve within a matter of months once the inflammatory burden eased. Your body is listening to every choice you make today, regardless of what choices came before. There is one more thing I need you to understand before we finish today, because this is the piece that ties everything together. Heart health, brain health, and joint health are not separate systems operating independently. They are all deeply connected through this same inflammatory pathway. When you protect your arteries from oxidized damaging fats, you are simultaneously protecting the blood vessels feeding your brain, the same vessels responsible for memory clarity and focus. This is why so many of my patients who clean up their fat intake tell me not only does their heart health improve, but their thinking feels sharper and their mood feels more stable. This is not a coincidence. This is physiology working exactly the way it was designed to work once you remove the obstacles standing in its way. I want you to walk away from this conversation today, not with fear, but with empowerment. You have far more control over your long-term health than you may have ever realized. The food you choose this week, the label you read before placing something in your cart, the oil you reach for in your kitchen tonight, these are not small, insignificant decisions. They are the building blocks of how you will feel 5 years from now and 10 years from now. I have dedicated more than 3 decades of my life to helping people, just like you, live longer, stronger, and clearer lives. And if there is one thing I want you to remember from everything we discussed today, it is this: it is never too late to take care of your heart, your brain, and your future self. Start with one small change this week. Your body has an extraordinary capacity to heal when you give it the chance. Take that chance, starting today.